Hello World Doll Day friends, this is Michael Kanadas with the Grovian Doll Museum and Carmel Doll Shop. I am here with our very good friend BelleAnne Curry, who we ambushed. You were ambushed into expanding our horizons. You're going to hear to teach me a little bit about some of the other mid-century 8-inch child dolls.
Yes.
That are made by the lesser known makers.
That's right. Various companies. The Grovian Doll Museum acquired a wonderful and very interesting collection. And I think the best way in many instances to learn more about dolls is to handle them and look at them and curate them and contrast and compare the dolls. So where I think we're going to start the story is the leaders and the shakers of the mid-century 8-inch dolls. Of course, the doll that started off is the Ginny doll. This is a later example when the company was recreating itself. So this is probably late 1950s, 58, 59, with the little freckles and the green eyes. She's awfully cute. But this is not what our story is about. We're not talking about Ginny, and we're not talking about the Wendykin, Madame Alexanderkin, but I wanted you to see, because people will pick up a Cosmopolitan doll, say, or a Muffy doll, and they'll say, oh, I have a Ginny doll. I had Ginny dolls when I was a little girl. Well, there's a good chance perhaps you did not. So in this case, we also see the quality, and we already have talked about in several shows the beautiful clothing in the Alexander and the company. Well, other companies began to notice a niche and a hole, because you could go to Macy's and Nordstrom's and your finest stores, and you could pick up a beautiful Madame Alexanderkin if you were a child of means. Or you could get into another store and Miss Ginny Graves would come around and talk about
a wonderful tea party.
Yes, and have a wonderful tea party, and the children would come home with a beautiful Ginny doll and all of her lovely costumes. But what if Mom was a teacher and Dad worked in a gas station? Or you were just, like I grew up, I was just an average kid in an average home. And what they had is this was to fill a hole in the market.
Well, and don't you think that suddenly there's a market trend of a new
there was
thing?
A tremendous market trend where all the little girls were clamoring for these darling, darling little 8-inch dolls and all of their accessories and all of their wonderful things. But perhaps you lived in an area where there was only the dime store.
Carmel Valley, where I grew up.
There
There's
you
only
go.
one store that would have things like
That's
this.
right. So this was for a more modest price point for the kids. And you could go, the little girl could sweep in her house all day long and earn money to buy one of these lovely dolls. This is the Verga Doll Company, started by Rosemary Beeler Arts of New York. She was the creator and founder in the 1950s. And they had already been making little Duchess dolls, which were, as one would say, types of the Nancy Ann storybook with a much more modest price point. You could go into a gas station and you could see these nice dolls, or you could send away your receipts from Fab dish detergent, and you could come back and buy a lovely doll.
And what's interesting about that is, since Nancy Ann was always behind in orders, not able to fulfill the orders, the competitors were filling the orders that she would have had.
This filled a niche in the marketplace and filled a hole. So, and those that didn't have the money to pay for more expensive dolls, what a great doll. You could get a doll. They started out with all of these lovely little 8-inch darling dolls. The clothing are quite well made.
I think that the little cotton dresses are as good as anyone's pieces of the time.
Where a little girl would be thrilled to have these.
And then we have the rayon with the soutache, which would have been difficult to do.
Correct.
But I think what's interesting here, BelleAnne, is we've got dolls in the original boxes. So
That tells a lot.
Shall we look at one of the boxes?
Sure, let me open this one up. Oh, we're going to put this lovely little girl down, and we're going to open this up. And what a lovely treat to see this. Isn't she beautiful?
And I believe on the end of the box it says a name.
It does.
It's very interesting.
This is P803. Let me get this off again, because look at the cute graphics on here of the little thrilled little girls. And this is Carol.
Okay.
So here's Carol, and she's.
And then we have to wonder, because there's really been very little research done on these dolls.
Yes.
Is a blonde with green eyes known as Carol? I mean,
That's
that
a
is
great
going to be a
question.
question.
Yeah. This is one of these where we were talking about it earlier and saying, maybe there is someone out there that had a grandparent or a relative or knew of somebody that worked for Virga or that represented them and would have any information.
Yeah, traveling salesperson.
A traveling salesperson. We don't know, but I know that there's information out there from the New York area and or beyond of someone that worked for that company.
And there's been three of us kind of preparing this
Yes.
exhibit, including Kathy Turner.
She
thank
was
you.
so helpful.
So we've kind of determined that the dolls in the original boxes, that they are in their correct box. Because
Yes.
they all seem to be very minty condition.
Nice,
So
unplayed with.
This is a blonde with blue eyes.
That's right.
So
and this is Ellen, P802. This is little Ellen. Look at her lovely outfit. And she has great coloring. Her hair has not been combed through. She really is, I don't like using the word mint. But
She's pretty close to
She's
mint.
she's what I would consider close to mint, unplayed with, perfect conditioning as from the factory. That's
Shall
what
we
that
see
means.
who's in the third box?
I do. I want to show
Because it's
that
helping
off.
us kind of identify their personality.
Look at how cute. And look at this
So
one.
we've got our redhead.
Yes.
And are those blue eyes or green eyes?
They are blue eyes, and this is P808, it looks like. Susan.
Susan. So this red hair, Susan, everybody in the world was named after Susan Hayward at that
I know,
time.
that's right. Susan had red hair. So this is these are beautiful. But the box itself, we're looking for hang tags, we're looking for information.
And we have not found that yet.
No, there's nothing here.
But then we have these fantasy pieces.
I
I
love
don't
those.
remember growing up with girls with pink hair and blue hair, and so these have to be some kind of fantasy piece, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, or it was a new way to capture the audience, to capture the children. So what way better than to have wonderful pink hair and purple? I remember little girls used to have plastic wigs as a child, and they had multiple colors on them.
Yeah,
So you could pretend. It was just another way of let's pretend. And you know what? It comes around again. Who has a relative or themselves perhaps that have dyed their hair blue and purple and pink in recent years?
It's very common. What I think is interesting about this study group is it appears that the collector that collected these was buying multiples of the same thing.
Right.
But when you put them out on the table, they are not.
Nobody's the same.
So there
Nobody's
was a
the
lot
same.
of thought put into this.
That's right. And we even have ballerinas with pointed toes. And do keep in mind, these dolls were not marked.
No.
So a lot of times if you will find them, nude, it might be a little difficult to identify exactly who made these dolls.
Well, if I have my glasses on, I can tell them apart from others.
There you go. Yes, you can.
So, because of your teaching me, I think, why don't we talk about next about our black girls?
The dolls of color, which again, I think these are spectacular.
So here's an opportunity for our manufacturer. This
Yes.
whole community is not being serviced.
That's right.
And
A whole community.
And they recognize this. And now I know that I had at a show just recently a lovely lady bring her childhood doll. and it was a Varga.
There you go.
You know, I didn't know it at the time, but I do now.
That's right.
And she told me the whole story of how it was bought for her by an aunt. And
That's right. And it was a wonderful price point for many children, you know. That
so they were clearly reaching small communities.
Yes.
And
they did a super great job. And these, you know.
They're beautiful dolls.
That's right. Madame Alexander did not have a doll of color. So I am pleased as punch and happy as I can be to see that little girls could enjoy and play with these dolls.
And then we have one here that's a little bit kind of different, and it might have been made to go to the tourist trade on good old
right.
Route 66, which you would have done
That's right.
in the mid-century.
That's right. That's right.
And
Where you said that a lot of native peoples, that they would give them, or they would buy a naked doll, and then they would actually
the
do all the
tribes
dress.
would, yeah.
That's right.
Those little cheap plastic dolls that you see, most all of them were dressed by the tribes.
That's right.
So they are authentic costumes.
Oh, look, her little necklace is backward.
And this very well could be the same situation.
Yeah. And
But
it really
she's
is
different
neat.
because she's the only one here with molded shoes.
Isn't that cool?
So that might have been a cost-saving thing. But the face is beautiful, don't you?
I
Don't
think
you
it's
agree?
wonderful. It's just wonderful, and wonderful for a little girl, and wonderful for playtime, and easy to dress and to represent the different
and I noticed
native
that
nations.
her feather has been.
Oh well, we have to.
It's got to be fixed.
Oh,
there it is.
There she. Oh,
is.
isn't she lovely?
Yeah.
And don't forget cowboys and Indians on TV at the time in the
Was a big,
1950s,
big-
and a lot of native peoples, which they needed to be represented better, as far as I'm concerned. But that's another story for
That's
another
another
day.
story. Mhm.
That's right. But I think it's great. It's wonderful to see
And
them.
shall we look at the holiday Valentine girl here?
I think she's one of my favorites because look at her. First of all, she has short hair, which is unusual, kind of
In
a
this
darling
group,
bob.
In this group it is.
Yes, and look, she's got wonderful coloring and great finish. And look at this darling little outfit.
Yeah, it'd be a great Valentine's gift.
Wouldn't that have been great for a little girl? Would have gone into the toy store, or the TG&Y, the little dime store, and there she would be.
So, BelleAnne, I know that you're very good about knowing what markets are as far as values of things.
Right.
I think, I mean, you know, this is not my area of expertise, but I think that this is right now a buyer's market.
Oh, let me tell you something. There was a time, of course, let's have a moment of silence for the 1980s, when dolls were at a premium, and these would have been at a much higher price point too, but I was taking a look at completed auctions on various sites, and they're considerably affordable, and I would say very much a buyer's market, where you can pick one up and start your own collection with lovely dolls for
mid-century fashion for children.
mid-century fashion for children, you know, for a very, very good price point.
And there's that other girl right now who's going through the roof, and she is mid-century too, but she's
That's
a
right.
teenager. So I think this is a great way to collect mid-century children's fashion.
Absolutely.
Because this is what children wore.
So, yeah,
particularly these cottons.
Yes. You know, never stop collecting or saying, because, oh golly, I really can't afford this or that or that. Because if you look around, there are many, many dolls that can really open your eyes to different eras, and this is one of them.
And this is a rainbow here.
Yeah,
Let's
and
face it.
really, it was so cool to assemble this and to watch you. You have such a wonderful eye for placement, and to put these up here. I love everything.
All right, so shall
a
we move
thrill.
on to a well-established company?
Yes.
A brand name.
That's right.
And we've got these little polka-dotted boxes here.
That's right.
For a reason.
That's right. And again, found and curated by the Grovian Doll Museum. Everybody should stop by at some point in their life if they have a chance. This is a treat and a feast for the eyes. But these are the Nancy Ann Storybook Company, which, as we know, had been busy marketing a lot of these dolls, not this particular one, but the storybook dolls since the 1930s or 40s.
Really big time in the 40s.
Yes, big time, huge time in the 40s. Everybody wanted Little Miss Muffet, and of course we all recall these were bisque dolls that were painted. And they were, when you bought one of those dolls, they really were not so much for children to play with. They were to look at and all that. But Nancy Ann, the creator of these dolls, was looking and saw a market. So she created, and this one is my favorite, Muffy. And the face on this just
very delicate face. I
yes,
think.
they
Of
send
this
me.
genre, I think they're very delicate.
Yes.
And they kind of slightly resemble a blown-up version of the bisque storybook doll to me.
Yes, with the oversized eyes, which gives her such a sweet face. And these are not her original shoes, but they worked for her, and this was in a collection. And they were just beautifully made, but then we can take off, like many Nancy Ann storybook dolls, you could not remove their clothes. Not all of them, some you could. This one you can really, really play with. She has a wonderful, high-quality plastic face. She has thinner arms than Jenny, which are easy if you're trying to
And I
string
believe
them.
that probably Nancy Ann had a little heads up with the new materials after the post-war era.
Yes.
As far as the government goes, because she was very involved in the war effort and supplying all the ships, because her factory was not far from where all the battleships were built, and we could build a ship a day.
Which was that was an amazing thing for her to do.
Yeah.
Really, one calls her a true American to help.
But I
in
don't
that
understand why this one in the jumper or romper suit. I thought you thought that was the best one.
I'm
Have you
changing
changed?
my mind. Actually, though, no, this one in the romper suit is actually a better, and I'm going to say it's a step up. If you're a judge at a doll show, this is the one that would get the blue ribbon. She's all original. These are the original center snap shoes, which Nancy Ann did not use for long. Because, of course, the same thing with Ginny, it was too difficult for the little girls, and you will find these shoes where they're torn, they're broken, and all of that. But look at her condition, and the hair, we're loving. Look at this beautiful, lush, combable hair that these dolls had on. And, of course, we'll just leave her glasses because they're so precious. And here she is in a play romper. And I'll say again, too, and I know y'all are going to groan out there, but there are, of course, out of print, several books that have been written because I did not know we were going to be giving this talk today. There were several wonderful books written on Muffy identification in all of her books. So this was early, I'm sure this was an outfit early in Muffy's history.
And the interesting thing is the parallel between this ensemble and the classic storybook ensembles. Any romper suit would be very, very desirable.
Absolutely.
Any of the characters.
Because that's, these were all showing in the stores at the time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this have been a little spring, summer outfit?
But it wouldn't have been as exuberant as, say, this dress.
Yes.
So it's it's a subtle thing, isn't it?
Right, right. But the quality was the same kind of wonderful quality as a Ginny outfit and/or as an Alexanderkin.
Well, the Nancy Ann was known for her high quality materials and her workmanship.
Right. So this was just a sidestep to say, hey, I want in the market with the 8-inch play dolls. And she did such a gorgeous job. I absolutely love them. And that's a lot of gathering and a lot of materials and a lot of finishing on this doll.
And I think if she didn't die young, she would have continued her innovative.
I know.
But we always love to showcase the California girls.
Oh, we do. Now, this little gal needs a little more curating. She needs to be strung, but isn't she precious?
And look at that print.
Yes, that print is beautiful. I wanted to take her hat off so that you can see the wonderful Nancy Ann. All of the side part dolls had this wonderful swirl going on that I absolutely love. You know, sort of the Rita Hayworth thing. And these beautifully painted lips and everything. I absolutely love this doll.
You know, Nancy Ann started out in Hollywood, baby.
Yeah, well, there you go, with Rita Hayworth. So just, you forgive her swingy legs, because that's going to be very quickly fixed. And then, of course, Nancy's kept up with the times, because in the Vogue company, the open, close eyes were changing. So Nancy Ann kept up with that. So instead of the one eye, we have this. Now, on some, that was going to also mention on a lot of these early Muffy dolls, some of them, they are not marked. But this
It's a very distinctive face, though.
Yes, you know right away what we're dealing with. Let's see if I can get this off. But indeed, these, the ones with the molded eyelashes, are marked.
And it says California.
Yes, storybook doll. So this was, I just think these are wonderful, wonderful examples.
And would you say to BelleAnne that this is a good, if you wanted to collect these, this is a good time to collect them?
I absolutely do. There was a time, and I remember this because that's when I wanted to buy them and I wasn't able to, because they were asking $400 and $500 a piece for these, and that price point has gone down considerably.
So it's the time to buy them.
Oh my goodness, yes.
If you know, I know most people don't do it that way, but I think it's a great time to add some mid-century fashion.
Yes.
So speaking of mid-century fashion,
oh, here we
clearly,
come. Clearly.
All I can say is MEY.
Yeah. MIC. See you real soon. KEY. I probably can't sing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hurt any copyright. I don't want you getting any phone calls.
No.
But here we are, Ginger.
Ginger.
Cosmopolitan Ginger. She was known as the darling of the doll world. And again, another company jumped onto the boat.
Well, I think she probably wasn't a darling to Jenny Graves.
No, she was not, because now I'm going to get this correct instead, because Catherine Kay in New York came. She worked for Vogue, and she decided, I want a piece of this pie, and she jumped onto her own special boat and made Cosmopolitan Ginger. So this one, I believe, was advertised probably during the Mickey Mouse Club. And tell me about that audience.
Well, something about the one thing that Jenny, the Vogue doll company, didn't understand was mass media. And she did not embrace television. And remember, in the 50s, you've got three channels. And what did we all do? Even in my time of reruns, we watched the Mickey Mouse Club.
You bet I did.
So
I wanted to be Annette.
Yeah. So I mean, talk about a boom.
Yes, absolutely. So this was a company that did advertise on TV, and and again, the price point I think was a little bit better than the Ginny. Same thing with the Muffy.
And I think we've got some boxed costumes that are $1.59 a set. Or here we've got the doll, $1.60 right there.
There you go. So $1.60 for the doll, and that was just to catch you. So you'd get a doll in a basic outfit, because they did come in different outfits. I don't know that these dolls see, you guys can correct me because I'm learning as I go on this. But I don't think they came in just like sometimes the Ginnies would come in just the underpants. And then you'd buy the Jenny, and then Grandma'd go with, I always say Grandma because I had a wonderful grandma. And then she would come and she'd start buying you all these cool outfits to go with her. You'd get one for Christmas or for Easter, whatever. So this is another one. Look at how cute this is. Whoa. And we know this is Ginger, but the quality is great.
I think they're really cute.
They're really cute. They came in a variety of hair colors, and they came in several variety of styles. This one has blue eyes, and these dolls were not marked. So it's a lot of times if you find some in a bin and they're all nude, you have a little bit of trouble at first telling who is who.
But I think if you spend some time looking at them, it's easy to figure it out.
It's easy to figure it out.
Once you train your eyes.
That's right. It's a matter of the training. So here she is with her little, isn't that cute?
And we have quite a few of the Disneyland.
Right. The Disneyland, and that was also another thing as we learned, the association with a company like Disney that really marketed heavily to kids, and all little kids wanted to go to Disneyland, and these really neat outfits. So they had outfits of the month, and they had outfits of all of the seasons that came along, and it just went on and on.
And we have the Ginger as a cowgirl.
I love this.
Her hat fell down, but it's there.
Okay.
And that would have been great for the little Western shows that were on Saturday mornings.
That's right.
And we have the Ginger of Fire Chief Ginger.
Look at how cool this is. Whoa. So maybe even the little brother could get into the act.
And
look at this. This is
one
really
thing
cool.
we noticed that as we were getting to handle this many gingers is
Yes.
that at first I thought, oh, that looks kind of new, but it's very, very fresh and perfect.
Right.
But it's a tagged outfit.
That's right.
So even though
this
the dogs,
is a really neat
dolls
thing
were
to
not.
see. So a lot of, and there was such a plethora, oops, there goes everything, of different designs. But this is Fashions for Ginger, Cosmopolitan Doll and Toy Company, Jackson Heights, New York. American made. And look at this, a little, this is a higher end material.
And what I think is fascinating is that doll's almost 70 years old.
Right.
And it's in just like new condition.
It is. It's lovely, lovely condition. Look at this cool hair. Nobody's combed it out, which that's the first thing I would have done as a kid, is comb everybody's hair out. So we've got
And I think we had a company that understood packaging.
Yes.
So it's almost like Ginger's autographed her box. And another thing I think that says you're successful is your own stand.
Ginger,
custom
she did.
made
She had
for
her own stand.
And
I think that's really cool.
And if we had I'd like to have those for all of these dolls. It'd make it so much easier.
And we don't have represented here, but there was a monk. She had a little monkey pal, and he had his own clothes as well.
Well, and I know that'll be strange for the young people, but in the 50s, having monkeys as pets was very stylish.
That's what I heard before.
Well, remember the movie Sunset Boulevard? It starts with the monkey funeral.
There you
and
go.
It goes from there.
That's right.
And I think that they were a little ahead of their time with their catalogs, weren't they?
Yes. They had these wonderful, I like the way you called them wish booklets, because that's what they were. The little girl would get one outfit and she would start checking off what she wanted next with some of these great
that's how I
outfits.
did it.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Well, BelleAnne, I thank you so much for coming in and oops, if I'm about to fall over.
Yeah.
Coming in and sharing with, I got a big education working with you today on getting this all
That's
ready.
very nice, because I got an education too. No matter how much you think you know,
well,
it's not near enough.
And the thing to take away is you really have to handle these things and get in it,
Yes.
study them.
Yes.
And I'm going to do one more pan before we go bye-bye.
Yes.
And let everyone see all the faces, because if you do take the time to look at them, they are all unique.
Yes, they are. And they're darling outfits. I mean, it's just an explosion of color and of people's design, too.
Yeah, and that wonderful design.
Yes.
Wonderful mid-century pieces. All right, bye-bye, doll friends.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye-bye. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.